Are you listening? Damn. Yeah. Yeah.
Another episode of Trash Talk. I'm Damian Hill. With me, as always, is TJ O'Connor. Trash Talk is brought to you again by Valhalla Combat Sports Incorporated, Ink Shrinks Tattoo out New Brighton, Minnesota, Origin Wellness CBD, the Striking Institute, Spartan Martial Arts, James Clark Sports Psychology and Hypnosis Therapy, and TJ's mom. Oh, and also the fighters. Shit, didn't forget. How you doing tonight, TJ?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing great. G-E-R. That's not even how you spell great, but I'm doing great.
Oh man, that's funny. But I guess what we're here to talk about today is supplements. The use of, I guess, most common places like Shop and GNC and places like that. They all sell workout supplements that allow you to, get the best out of your workout and things like that. And also things to help you with recovery and things like that. And I guess the difference between that and steroids or performance enhancers in that type of a way, and what it if there is a difference in all of that, I guess. I guess just to start it off, how do you feel about the comparison of, let's say, a vitamin booster? Maybe it's just a vitamin booster that allows you to recover a little bit faster versus like a steroid. Like what would it be? EPO that allows you to recover faster? Yeah. The comparison of that, I don't know.
I think the term performance enhancing gets thrown around so much, and it's such a broad term. I mean, anything's performance enhancing. If you drink a cup of coffee in the morning, it's going to make your day a little bit better. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things to where does that line go? And it's such a great line because let's be real. I mean, a lot of these, especially the generic brands or the cheaper companies, what kind of testing are they doing? I mean, shit, that might be steroids, man. We've heard that conversation before, but I think if you're following it by the book, and if you're taking things that are helping you, a multivitamin, something like that, fish oil, stuff like that, I think that's obviously it's going to be performance enhancing. Otherwise, you wouldn't be doing it. But I wouldn't consider that cheating. And obviously, I'm not the only person that these are over the counter things. But I mean, the line. I mean, it's a very gray line, I feel like. And I mean, I don't want this to sound like you're going to take your Flintstones vitamin and the next day you're shooting up with Lance Armstrong. It's not that gray of a line, but depending on, what you're doing, what companies you're buying it from, and what supplements these are. I mean, how many UFC fighters have we seen pop and get caught by USADA, and they were taking over-the-counter stuff that they did buy at those type of stores?
Yeah, where it was the case of the tainted supplements and things like that. Yeah. Well, I guess too is when you are taking all this stuff and it does allow you to perform a little bit better, and I'm not even talking about the things that allow you to recover a little bit better, like vitamins and things like that. The things that allow you to get a better workout because you're working out more than what you normally would if you didn't take it. So that alone is performance enhancing, right? And so, but what's the like the moral compass of it all? Like, is it basically looked at like from the, I don't know, what would be the word where, I don't know, where no one else sees it as bad, so you don't see it as bad. And but steroids, the whole community, everybody frowns on steroids or whatever. You shouldn't do anything that can be considered steroids. But creatine, you can do that. That's fine. And I'm not saying that's I don't know if that's legal for USADA and all that shit. I don't want to even get into. I don't know. I'm talking about what people deem okay and not okay when it comes to working out, like their muscle milk and powders and all that stuff that allows them to put on muscle faster and burn fat quicker. How are those not steroids when you really like look into it? Because there's a lot of fighters that are on protein powders and things like that that are pre-workouts and and post workouts and things like that, but they're not considered performance enhancers or cheating. Is it only because everybody else is allowed to do it?
Man, I like the way you word it, and I like you said, I could think of it, and I can't think of a better word either. So there's probably someone out there watching this that knows the actual word we're looking for, but I'm going to go with community effect. I mean, I like the way you summed that up. It's the broader perspective of it. I mean, what is the difference? I guess if you get real down to it, it's going to be what USADA deems illegal or not illegal. I mean, essentially, it's going to be the same type of stuff. What you're trying to do is you're trying to make your body perform better than it would. So I mean, it's such a like I said, it's such a gray line that I mean, if they look at baseball in like the 80s and 90s, everybody was juicing, but hey, it wasn't against the rules at that point. So the community was like, hey, we can do this. And then we look back on it with a negative tone. There might be stuff that fighters are taking today that in 5 years they're going to go, oh, no, you can't take that anymore. But right now, it's not cheating because you're following the rules. You're doing what you can. So, I mean, it's such a weird thing in sports that, how the perspective can change, but all you can do is follow the rules at the time you're given.
What about this perspective? Like the people that were never taking anything, like no protein powders, no nothing, like any energy that they get from the food that they eat naturally, the sugars from their fruits and vegetables or what have you, and their proteins from the meat and or however else, nuts and stuff, whatever fucking else protein is in. Eating all the healthy stuff to allow their body to perform at its peak. One of our coaches, Tyler Marsh, he put it the best way, and I've said it before, where when you're putting just regular gasoline in your tank, you're going to have a regular performance. But when you're putting premium in, you're going to have more of a premium performance. So there's people that do it the whole natural way. And then you have those guys that put in that diesel, which, or premium, whatever the fuck you want to call it. I don't know gas. Anyway, but you have those guys that do the protein powders and all of that stuff or whatever versus the guys that do nothing at all. I mean, some of those guys have considered it cheating, and that's why they don't do it, even though they know everybody else is doing it. It's just, I mean, it allows you to perform at your best. So, like, let's say you're stranded on a desert island and you don't have access to any of that, and you still have to fight island. But anyway, but you still have to fight a guy. Are you not gonna be able to win now?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Like,
yeah, it's an interesting take, and I mean, and if a fighter or an athlete in general, we talk about fighting on the show because that's what the show is about. But we're talking about athletes in general. If they can perform at a maximum level off of the diet and just be sticking to themselves, then I give them nothing but kudos. But like you said, frankly, without sounding rather rude, it doesn't matter. There's going to be guys that are going to do what they're going to do, and does that make any difference? No. But I mean, one of the things you have to play into that. I mean, also, you talk about morals, you talk about work ethic. It comes down to genetics. I mean, if you're going to be a top 10 guy in the world and you're just you're waking up, eating a salad, eating some chicken, doing your workout, and then going and beating everybody up, hey, you're a pretty fucking superior athlete. And a lot of these guys need that little bit to keep up with them. And like you said, as long as does that make it cheating? But if they're following the rules.
Yeah, but then it's also one of those things too. Is like, if you need that, you shouldn't even be doing it. Like, I'm not saying that, but I'm like, that could be an argument that somebody brings up. Like, if you don't need it, like, it's the same thing when people say about cutting weight and stuff. It's like everybody wants that edge. He's like, if you got to cut weight, then you shouldn't be fighting. You're trying to fight smaller guys, And I'm like, I understand the argument, but then it becomes, well, everybody else is doing it, and I don't want to be at a disadvantage.
Yes.
So that becomes the whole situation with the protein powders and all of that stuff. And then ultimately with steroids, because guys know that, and I don't know if they know that they can't keep up. They just know that there's other people that are performing way better, but they could be natural, but they also might be on something. And it's like, well, if they're on it, fuck it. I'm going to do it to, because like what you said with the baseball, if everybody's on it, well then fuck it. Like the community. I don't know exactly where I was going with that. I was just kind of stating things.
No, and I picked up exactly where you're on. I mean, I'm a big fan of sports, and I know a lot of people that watch this show are too. And if they haven't seen that documentary that came out like 2 weeks ago about Lance Armstrong, that's exactly what he said. He goes, I was the best guy in the world, and then all of a sudden I came back the next year, and I'm getting 15th, 16th in a race, and I knew something was going on. So he had to make that decision to do it as well, to remain number one. And it's that thing. And in the sport we can talk about it in hypotheticals, but this actually happened. I mean, not even 10 years ago with the TRT situation. There were all these fighters, and we're talking veterans of the game. And, Vitor Belfort, Dan Henderson, guys that have been around for years. And all of a sudden, they're taking this added supplement that at the time was legal. They were getting exemptions. There was nothing wrong with this. And, I mean, you've seen in the performance, TRT Vitor, everybody jokes about him, but he's the scariest guy that ever walked the earth.
Well, even the IVs.
Yeah.
Like, guys weren't even on steroids or whatever, but they were doing IVs and oxidizing their blood. I don't know exactly what was going on, but wasn't that allowed for a little bit?
It used to be allowed big time. And so you'd see these guys, they felt way more comfortable doing 20, 25-pound weight cuts because they'll go in and get, 4 bags of vitamin drip IV as soon as they're done, and they're feeling back to normal, feeling great. So it's one of those scenarios where it's like, where's the line drawn? And since we've seen that line drawn, we've seen fighters that, if you take the natural side of it, look at a guy like Michael Bisping, who was around forever during these situations. And all of a sudden they put these restrictions on TRT. They put restrictions on the IV drip. And all of a sudden a guy like this, after 10 years, finally gets an opportunity to become a world champion. So it's one of those scenarios where, I mean, until – I don't even know how to word it, but until – it's all said and done, which it never will be. The sport will always go. It's going to be hard to compare and contrast things to different eras because some people are going to be able to do it and some people aren't. So it's so hard to compare, different eras. And until it's all said and done, we're really not going to have an idea. And it's never going to be all said and done because fighting is going to always go on. And there could be stuff that people are doing now, like I said, that 5-10 years from now, they're going to say, hey, you can't do that. And so we're going to have a different idea about it. But I think as long as they're going off the rules that are here today, I mean, we got to let guys do what they can.
You wrapped that up perfectly, but it made me think of something else too, where like guys like these 8-year-old amateurs or newly turned pros and stuff, these guys that are still not completely developed physically, like as men, and I'm not trying to say that you guys aren't men, but
Okay.
You're not physically developed yet at 18, even 24 sometimes, I don't want to get into all of that or whatever, right? But like you're not you don't have your man strength yet. You're not fully developed. You're not at your peak. You didn't even hit your plateau yet. You're still getting better every year, all the way up until about 28, maybe even 30 or whatever, right? And then the prime is like 28 to like 33 or 30 to like almost 40 now sometimes. Like, I don't know. Like, people's primes are different, but they're hitting it at that time. Now, let's say you don't take anything. You let your body develop from a baby all the way to an adult naturally, because as a teen, you shouldn't be taking creatine and all that shit or whatever, right? Like, at least there was a bunch of people that I know that were doing it when we were in high school and stuff, and it didn't turn out good. Like, we've seen the effects or whatever, and I think nowadays more high schoolers are more aware and not doing certain things, except for there's always those people that do want that edge, but I don't recommend it, especially your body's still developing. Now, I'll get more into that a little bit, but as your body's developing, you become the best that you can be naturally, all the way up until you're fully done developing at 28, 33 years old. And then you hit your prime. And then you still don't do anything. And then you start to hit your plateau or your decline at 34, 35, 36. And you're still performing really well. You're still able to keep up with everybody, but you're not performing the way that you normally perform because time catches up with all of us. Now, let's say you start taking those supplements now. Well, now like you used to perform here, and then you at 34, 35, you drop down to here. Well, guess what? Those supplements start to bring you back now, and you see where I'm going with this. Like you get brought back to the same level that you were at, and you get to perform at a longer rate that way. Now, let's say you're taking supplements this whole time, and then how you said, like, they're always changing the rules. Certain things you get cut out. You never know what's going to get taken out and all that thing and all those things. But let's say you're taking something that allows you to perform here. Well, now they don't allow you to take it anymore, or they stop making it. The company goes bankrupt, whatever. And then now you can't take it, and now you perform here. But you performing here is what kept you at, kept you at the show, or kept you in everybody's ear. But now, because you're not able to have that, you're down here. Or the fact that you're taking it your entire life or whatever, right? Whatever supplements and stuff, allowing yourself to get better or whatever, right? And you perform better than everybody at that one point in time. But eventually your body starts to shut down, or not shut down, but not develop naturally the way it's supposed to be. Like, I not necessarily not being as good unless you have those things. Like you're gonna need that shit now or whatever, right? Like, but not even necessarily that. Your body's not gonna develop the way it should be, because one day you're gonna be done fighting. One day you're gonna be done with all of this. We all are. And then you might not be taking all of the same stuff. You might not have the same routine. I mean, granted, most people don't. Even the coaches, people that stick around us to keep coaching, they don't work out like they used to. You know, how many fat coaches do we know that used to fucking kick ass? You know, but it's just, you're not going to be doing the same thing. So you're probably not going to be taking the same supplements. Well, then now your body just shits itself. Like everything just falls apart that much quicker now when you're at the older age and that later stage in your life. And also, it's not healthy to be taking all that stuff when you're that old. Like protein powders and pre-workouts and shit or whatever on a fucking 50 and 60-year-old heart and shit like that. Like, and that's only, I guess, if you have heart problems and stuff. But like, the older you get, the less likely yeah. Yeah.
No, I get it. And I mean, I'm far from a doctor, but from my perspective, I feel like everything you said just made total sense. I mean, if it's one of those things where when you're young and you're pushing, I mean, let your body do its job. Let the car go. And you know, when you have to start doing those oil changes and doing some maintenance, at that point, start considering it. But putting a crutch when you don't need the crutch almost makes, no sense. But again, I'm not a doctor, but even just the mental aspect of it, like using that, if you're like, oh, I gotta take it, all of a sudden one day you can't take it. It's like, well, am I going to be good enough without it? So, I mean, it's a tricky subject, and I feel like we could talk about this all day.
Yeah, no, I honestly, I feel like we wrapped that up pretty well. I'm at least just stated what we felt about it, and I guess what we believe to be facts. I don't know if what we said everything was facts, but what we believe to be true, and shared our opinion on it. I don't know if people feel the same way. If you do, if you don't, whichever, let us know. Tell us how you guys feel about it. Are supplements the same as steroids? Is it better to be natural? Should everybody be on it? I don't know. You let us know. But I feel like we shared our thoughts. This has been Trash Talk with Damian and TJ. TJ, could you remind them what to do with this video and the page?
Oh, yeah. Hold on. I almost forgot. I'm pretty sure you're supposed to like this video and subscribe to Trash Talk with Damian and TJ. And then there was, don't be a hoe.